My name is Noura bint Khalid al-Rashid. I was 28 years old when the event that changed my life happened on February 17, 2024. That night, I was sitting alone in a quiet room, holding a Bible in my shaking hands. My body was weak because of lupus, a painful sickness that had been destroying my health for years. My heart was also tired from loneliness and rejection. That night, something unexpected happened that I would never forget for the rest of my life. Before I continue my story, I would love to know where you are watching or reading from. Please write your country or city in the comments so we can know each other as a family and continue to pray for one another. Your support and prayers mean more than you may realize. I was born into a Saudi royal family, but my beginning was not the joyful story many people imagine when they hear the word princess. My father was a Saudi prince, a powerful man whose life was surrounded by wealth, influence, and strict traditions. But from the day I was born, something painful happened that followed me through my childhood. My father refused to acknowledge me as his daughter. The truth about my birth created tension and embarrassment in the royal family. Because of this, I was quietly taken away from the royal palace. I did not grow up in the luxury many people associate with royalty. Instead, I was raised far away from Saudi Arabia, mostly in London, where my mother tried her best to give me a normal life. My mother was a strong woman. She worked hard to protect me from shame and gossip. She also tried to raise me with discipline, faith, and education. I attended a private international school in London where I studied subjects like literature, history, science, and languages. I worked very hard in school because my mother often reminded me that education was the one thing no one could take away from me. Even though my life looked comfortable on the outside, my heart often felt empty. Other children talked about their fathers picking them up from school, teaching them life lessons, and celebrating birthdays together. I watched those moments from a distance. My father was a powerful man somewhere far away, yet in my life he was like a shadow that never spoke to me. That kind of rejection slowly builds a quiet pain inside a child. Because of my background, my life was also surrounded by strict religious expectations. I was raised with deep respect for Islamic traditions. I learned the prayers, the teachings, and the cultural rules that shaped our identity. Religion was not just belief for us, it was part of our family honor and community. For many years, I held tightly to those beliefs because they were the only spiritual foundation I knew. As I grew older, I continued my education at a university in London where I studied international relations and social studies. University life exposed me to people from many cultures and beliefs. I met students from different countries, backgrounds, and religions. Some of them were Christians. At first, I kept my distance. My upbringing had taught me to be careful with ideas that were different from my own. Still, I noticed something about some of those Christian students. They seemed peaceful even when life became difficult. They spoke about love, forgiveness, and hope in a way that surprised me. One day, a classmate showed me a Bible. He did not argue with me or try to force me to believe anything. Instead, he explained that the book told the story of Jesus, someone who cared deeply for the sick, the rejected, and the broken. He explained to me that Jesus spent time with people society often ignored. Those words stayed quietly in my mind. But my real struggle had not started yet. When I was 24 years old, my health suddenly began to collapse. My body felt weak almost every day. My joints hurt, my skin became sensitive, and exhaustion followed me everywhere. After many hospital visits and medical tests, the doctors finally revealed something that frightened me deeply. They explained that I had lupus, a serious autoimmune disease. The doctors tried many treatments, medications, and hospital care. Sometimes the medicine helped a little, but the pain always returned. There were days when even standing up felt like climbing a mountain. My life slowly changed from university classes and social activities to hospital visits, medical tests, and long nights of pain. But the physical suffering was only part of the struggle. When some members of my extended family heard about my illness, their reaction was painful. In many traditional circles, sickness can sometimes be misunderstood. Instead of compassion, some people treated my condition like a source of shame or weakness. Those words were heavy for my heart because I had spent years trying to be faithful and respectful. Loneliness slowly became my daily companion. There were nights when I lay awake wondering why my life felt so different from others. I had wealth around me, education, and opportunities, yet inside I felt broken, rejected, and forgotten. During those difficult months, something unexpected happened. The memory of the Bible my classmate once showed me returned to my mind. At first, I ignored the thought. My background and upbringing made that idea uncomfortable. But the more pain I experienced, the more I began to search for something deeper than medicine or tradition. I was looking for hope. I did not realize that this quiet search would soon lead me into a journey filled with faith, conflict, persecution, and a moment that would change my life forever. And that moment was closer than I could imagine. My illness did not come like a loud storm. It came slowly, step by step, like a shadow growing longer every day. I remember one cold morning in London. I was walking to my university class, holding my books tightly against my chest. The air was cool, and the streets were busy with students and workers rushing to their destinations. Everything looked normal outside, but inside my body something felt wrong. My joints began to ache badly. At first I thought it was simple tiredness. I had been studying late at night and working hard to keep my grades high. But the pain did not disappear. Instead, it grew stronger with each passing week. Soon my hands began to swell. My skin became sensitive to sunlight. Even small tasks like climbing stairs or carrying my school bag started to feel like heavy work. My mother noticed my struggle very quickly. She watched me carefully as I moved slowly around the house. One evening, she told me she was worried about my health. Her eyes were full of concern as she encouraged me to visit a doctor. I could see fear growing in her heart, even though she tried to stay calm for my sake. That was the beginning of many hospital visits. I remember sitting in cold waiting rooms, surrounded by white walls and the quiet sound of medical machines. Doctors examined my blood, checked my joints, and asked many questions about the pain in my body. Finally, one specialist revealed something that changed my life. He explained that I had lupus, a serious autoimmune disease where the body begins to fight against itself. He showed me medical reports and explained that the illness could attack my joints, skin, and internal organs. When I heard that explanation, fear filled my heart. At that moment, I realized that my life might never return to the way it used to be. The treatments began quickly. Doctors gave me strong medicines that sometimes made me feel weak and dizzy. Some days I could not attend university classes. Other days I stayed in bed because my body refused to cooperate. My life slowly became a cycle of hospital visits, medicines, pain, and exhaustion. But the physical suffering was not the hardest part. The emotional suffering that followed was even heavier. Because of my background and family history, news about my illness slowly reached relatives and family friends connected to the royal circle. Instead of receiving compassion from everyone, I began to notice something painful. Some people began to distance themselves from me. A few relatives quietly treated my sickness like a problem that should stay hidden. In some social gatherings, I felt people looking at me with uncomfortable expressions, as if my illness made them uneasy. One older family member once revealed to my mother that sickness like mine could bring embarrassment to important families. Those words broke my heart. I began to feel like a burden. My daily life became very lonely. While other young people were enjoying friendships, parties, and dreams about the future, I spent long hours sitting alone in my room. Some evenings I stared at the ceiling while silent tears ran down my face. I kept asking myself why my life had taken this direction. During this painful time, my spiritual life also became confusing. I still respected the faith and traditions I had been raised with, but deep inside I felt lost. I prayed many times, hoping the pain would disappear, but the sickness remained. There were moments when my faith felt weak and tired. One afternoon, something unexpected happened. I was sitting in the university library, trying to focus on my studies. My body felt weak, and my mind was heavy from many sleepless nights. A classmate noticed my condition and came to sit near me. He gently asked about my health. After I explained my sickness, he showed deep concern. He told me that he would pray for my healing. His kindness surprised me, because many people had simply walked away from my struggle. A few days later, that same classmate brought a Bible. He did not pressure me or argue about religion. Instead, he calmly explained that the book spoke about Jesus, someone who showed compassion to the sick, the rejected, and the forgotten. He revealed to me that many people in the Bible had suffered deeply before finding hope. Those words stayed quietly in my heart. I took the Bible home that evening. At first, I placed it on a table in my room and avoided touching it. My upbringing had taught me to be careful with books from other religions, but something inside me was curious. Days passed, and my sickness continued to grow worse. Some mornings my body felt so weak that even lifting my arms required effort. I remember one evening when I sat alone in my room while the rain fell softly against the window. My heart felt completely broken. In that moment, my eyes slowly moved toward the Bible resting on my table. I did not realize it then, but that simple moment was the beginning of a journey that would soon bring conflict, persecution, and a life-changing encounter that I could never forget. I remember one evening very clearly. Rain was falling softly against the window of my small London apartment. The room was quiet, and the dim light from a lamp rested on the table beside my bed. My body was tired after another difficult day. Medicine bottles were placed near my pillow, reminding me again of the sickness I was fighting. On that table was the Bible my classmate had given me. For many days I had avoided opening it. My upbringing, my family background, and my fear of what people might say had built a wall in my mind. Yet my suffering was slowly pushing me to search for something deeper than fear. That night, I finally picked up the book. My hands were shaking slightly as I opened the pages. I began reading slowly. The words were simple, but they carried a message that touched my heart. The stories spoke about Jesus caring for sick people, touching the rejected, and helping those who felt forgotten. As I read, something inside me felt different. The more I read, the more I felt as if the message was reaching directly into my pain. It felt as if someone understood the loneliness I had carried for many years. I stayed there reading for a long time. My heart felt heavy, and tears slowly rolled down my face. I was not sure why I was crying, but it felt like the pain I had hidden for so long was finally coming out. In that quiet moment, something unexpected happened. I felt a deep sense of peace surround me, something very different from the fear and confusion that had filled my life. It was as if a gentle presence was comforting my broken heart. I cannot explain it fully, but it felt like Jesus was showing me compassion and hope. That moment did not remove all my problems instantly. My sickness was still there, and the challenges around my life had not disappeared. But something important had changed inside me. For the first time in many years, I felt hope. Yet I did not realize that this small step of reading the Bible would soon bring serious consequences. The decision to continue learning about Jesus would open the door to rejection, anger, and painful persecution from people who once called themselves my family. The peace I felt that night did not disappear, but my life around me began to change. I continued reading the Bible quietly in my room. Many evenings I sat on my bed with the small lamp glowing beside me while the city outside grew silent. As I read about Jesus healing the sick, loving the rejected, and helping the broken, something inside me kept growing stronger. Hope was returning to my heart. One afternoon at the university library, I met the same classmate who had given me the Bible. He noticed the book in my bag and gently asked about my progress. When I told him I had been reading it, he looked relieved and encouraged. He told me that many people who were sick and desperate had found strength through faith in Jesus. He also revealed to me that following Jesus was not always easy, especially for people who came from strict religious backgrounds. At that time, I did not fully understand what he meant, but soon I would. The first sign of trouble came during a family video call. My mother had always been loving and protective, but our extended family often stayed connected through relatives and family friends. One evening, while speaking with an older relative, something unexpected happened. That relative noticed the Bible resting on the table behind me. His face immediately changed. His voice became serious and concerned. He told my mother that the presence of such a book in our home was dangerous for our family honor and reputation. From that moment, tension entered our home. News about my interest in Christianity slowly traveled through the family circle. Within weeks, more relatives began contacting my mother. Some of them warned her strongly. Others spoke with anger and disappointment. They explained to her that exploring another faith could bring shame and serious consequences for our family name. My mother became deeply worried. One night, she sat beside me in the living room. Her face looked tired and troubled. She explained how much pressure she was receiving from relatives. She told me that some family members believed my curiosity about Christianity was a betrayal of our heritage. I could see tears forming in her eyes. Those were painful days for both of us. Soon, the pressure grew even stronger. Some relatives refused to speak with us anymore. Others sent messages warning that my actions could destroy the little connection we still had with the royal family. But the emotional pain did not stop there. A distant family representative eventually arranged to meet us while visiting London. I remember sitting across from him in a quiet office room. His expression was firm and serious as he spoke with my mother. He revealed to us that if I continued learning about Christianity, certain family support and protection could disappear. That moment made my heart tremble. I felt the weight of a terrible choice pressing on my life. On one side was the safety of family approval. On the other side was the hope and peace I had begun to feel while learning about Jesus. The pressure became overwhelming. Some nights I cried alone in my room. I asked myself if I was causing too much pain for my mother. I wondered if continuing this path was worth the cost. But every time I opened the Bible again, something inside me felt calm and strong. It felt as if Jesus was showing me that love and truth were more valuable than fear. At the same time, my health began to change slowly.
I still visited the hospital, but I noticed that my strength was gradually returning. Some days the pain in my joints became lighter than before. Even the doctors looked surprised during some medical visits. One doctor carefully reviewed my test results and explained that my condition was showing unexpected improvement. Those small changes filled me with hope. Yet the persecution around me did not disappear. Some relatives cut off contact completely. Others continued sending warnings and pressure through family networks. I began to understand something very clearly. Choosing faith can sometimes come with a heavy price, but it can also bring a deeper freedom inside the heart. Today, when I remember those difficult months, I feel compassion for anyone in the world who is suffering persecution because of their faith in Jesus. Many people face rejection, loneliness, and danger simply because they choose to follow what they believe is true. If you are watching or reading this story today, I want to gently encourage you. Please remember to pray for believers around the world who are persecuted for their faith. Your prayers can give them strength, comfort, and courage during very difficult times. And if you are someone who feels far from God, you can also choose today to begin a new journey of faith. You can pray a simple prayer from your heart like this: Heavenly Father, I come before you today with humility. I ask you to forgive my sins and cleanse my heart. I believe that Jesus came to bring love, hope, and salvation. Please guide my life, strengthen my faith, and help me follow the path of truth. Fill my heart with your peace, and help me live a life that honors you. Amen.